Okay, take two. I tried to shoot this video and suddenly I had a coughing fit, and nobody needs to hear that. Um, I am now in the very beginnings of laying in the lines. And when I say laying in the lines, this is the computer version of what I did with paper and pencil. So you can see here, I have the head and the footboards. These are my drawings that I just, because I'm cheap, just photographed with my cell phone and pulled them in. Partially because I knew that these drawings were a bit off and there wasn't gonna be anything lost in translation. I just need basic shapes. And you can see here, I even used an older version of this for the body, the main body that still has the feet on it. But the measurements for the side and the mattress are still good, so I didn't really feel like I needed to shoot another picture or, not use this one. So you can see in here, I basically just use them so I can come in here and lay in the lines. And in here, when I was going through and typing up some little notes for to-dos, you can even see here on this tab, I don't have the correct bend here, the little tapering in point for the tab. And I need to figure out, no, I don't need to figure out how to do that. That's really easy. Basically, just come in here and let's see. Okay. Because remember, this isn't raster, this is vector. Raster drawing with a graphical interface that is like Photoshop and the more modern versions of Photoshop and Illustrator, etc. DaVinci, there's a bunch of other stuff you can use. It deals with the individual pixels. Vector is, I'm basically just dealing with points. So you can see here I have a point anchor and I need to add another one in there. So basically all that happens, and I'm holding down my one key, and I added an extra anchor point. The one that's active is the one that's blue. And then so if you want to click off, I just click off of that. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. And I hold down my control key so I can manipulate them. So you can see here, I want to add another one. I just double click on the line with the tool and do a little dragging. And basically all that vector means is the computer when it's writing the code, it's talking about the mathematical stuff that goes on in between. That's as much as I know. So you can see here, I'm in this process of straightening things up. And when I say straightening things up, let me see if I can get these to pop in. It means I'm also using my guides, coming in here and making sure that the lines are actually horizontal and perpendicular and whatever else they need to be. So that's done. Basically, I lay in the lines. Then I decide what I like the best. These are supposed to be 14 across, so I've dropped in a midline, and then I go in, and when this is the point in which I start using templates that I've made. Now these were templates that I made for the feet of, I think originally it was the large wardrobe or the armoire. And you can see here, I'm going to drag these over here and just plop one in. You can see that these are so not the right size. And they'll need to be resized a bit to go with this. They'll have a similar sort of foot pattern, but you can see how slim this is, how gargantuan this is. So some things are going to move around. Now the reason I lay in these guidelines first is so that when I am using these templates for my mathematical measurements, I have something by which to anchor these two. So if I'm grabbing this one and I know that this one I simply want to meet, I have inline, and then sometimes I'll do them this way. It just, whatever's floating my boat that particular day. Honestly, I just make a notation of what I'm doing. And you can see I can come in here and get it as close as it needs to be. And I think I need to straighten this up a little bit, because this is 365 of a millimeter. So I'm really splitting hairs here. So now I know I can move these things around, and I've done these before. You've seen me work with them. They aren't outrageously exciting, and I've left these pieces here straight until I can come in and manually curve them. Now when it comes to the curves, what I tend to do is I'll pick which one I like the best. This is not the most fabulous way to do this. I'm sure there are other people that are like, oh my God, you're working in ye olden times. And you can see how the anchor points have the anchor points are lined up. I've got these on center. But you can see here, I've got these right here, which are things that I can manipulate the curve with. And what I tend to do is then, let's see, with this one, I'll drop a guide bar here, hit this and go, okay, I need to bring this one down a little bit. It doesn't always work perfectly. It works better when I have curves that are going into curves that are going into curves. This one right here, you can see there's no little extra thing coming off of it. You don't see the little circles. So this is a curve only one direction, and this is a curve only going another direction. So what I need to do before I can really touch the curves is I need to make sure that this and this are the right width. I need to make sure that this from this line to here is the correct width, and I can evenly divide it in half, because I'm doing a lot of divide it in half, divide it in half, divide it in thirds, really super elementary level kinds of design work. Didn't mean to do that. And while I'm doing that, when things occur to me, because you know my brain, I'm writing myself some notes about, what needs to be where, because of course, get this out of here. Come on, you silly thing. I've got my sketchbook where I have sizes written down and how many pieces I'm going to be needing for things, where things are supposed to be going, how big I need to make things. So I'm going back and forth between my sketchbook and this to make sure that everything's jiving together the way that I want it to. So far, okay, let me save this. So far I've gotten the bed and the the dressing table started, although it's the dressing table, according to how I've named the file. Up here it says dressing table, and you can see I've laid in these pieces. I've gotten these curves a little bit more straightened up. One of the things that I'm working on right now is, as I'm writing through some of these notes, is not only I need to create, drawers and all kinds of other stuff, but there are places where these curves are, which you can't see because it's not on camera, where this is the middle section, which will go right here, where there's not necessarily a fold, because a dotted line is the fold. And I've even corrected these where I made these tabs much smaller. I need to come up with another method of delineation. And I was looking at some of the pieces. I did desktop was getting messy, went through, cleaned a whole bunch of things up, and made sure things were in the right place. And was looking at some of the pieces to see if that could help me. And what did really help me is the fact that on these, there's usually trim work, decorative trim work that would be going on here or around these side pieces. So I'm gonna look into what I would do with that. And let me see, let me get rid of that. And I'm going to come up with here. I have a new file that I put everything together. Let's look at dressing tables. I'm trying to find, because this one was one that I used as reference. And you can even see here there's a larger piece. Let's see if I can pump that up a little bit. And sometimes it's not exactly outrageously interesting, because sometimes, there's just a little strip here. There's just a little strip here. This one doesn't even have a midsection. Trying to find one. These giant feetsies. I like that one a lot. This one had some really super, it's like boom, boom, which I thought was really cool. Here's one that's a pretty good example. You can see here some decorative elements here and here and here. Now, knowing that there's going to be a fold here, if I put a slightly decorative element here along this top part, then you know where the fold is supposed to, or the curve is supposed to begin to happen, and you can very much see the curves here. And you can see that this is trim work, trim work, trim work. It was a much different style of working with furniture, and you can also see here some of that inlaid veneer that's kind of done like a parquet. It was quite common. In all the research that I've been doing, there's lots and lots of different kinds. Like this one is very plain along here, but then you get into some really intricate pieces, and you can tell somebody messed around and put something in there that doesn't go there. Others quite plain, where the mirror is large enough and the middle section is further down. I'm also trying to figure out, it seemed as though many of these had something more akin to a bench seat, so I'm thinking about doing a bench seat instead. However, I do really like this kind of pull, which I think would be interesting. And again, you can see that nice shine, that gleam on that curvy section right there. So yeah, I'm one of these people that does a lot of research into things. So that's what I've been working on. It's not exactly the most glamorous stuff. It's basically editing now. I'm to the point where I'm beginning to edit and figure out where I want to do things. So I'm going to be working on these today. I still need to lay out the dresser, although I may have already pulled that one up because I have a file. These are all my SVG files. And SVG files just means it's a file that I can go into and here we go. Yeah, I knew I started laying this one out. SVG in Inkscape just means it's a file I can go into and alter. So you can see I've just got the very, very beginnings of this. And I need to come in. You can kind of see I tend to turn down the visibility of the piece underneath, because sometimes in these black and white drawings it gets confusing if I'm drawing in black. I can't quite see. And there's even, that's the smaller rectangle to be cut. That's for the hole. And you can see how this then could be, if you don't want to make the drawers, I'm just going to go ahead and stick on, here's the holes that you would use. there you go. You don't even have to make usable drawers. But again, I've got some ways to go on these, and it's just not exactly exciting work. And I'm sure even less exciting when you are sitting down and watching a video of it. It's like watching paint dry. So yeah, that's where I am right now. That's what I'm working on. I'll go ahead and save that just so I don't have to meddle with it. That's what I'm working on right now. And I think I am going to add, I don't know, there needs to be a curve here. And I also realized there needs to be a curve along here, and I can remove these lines. As I pulled this up and was working on some of the notes, it's like, crud, I need to take that out. And then, I just thought of something else I need to put in here. Come here, you. Need to make a pattern piece for the separate mirror. Not mirror. And then as I get these things done, once that separate mirror piece is made, I can pull it off. Part of me really would like to do something with I'd love to make a more dimensional mirror, but that's and this has gone on way too long. So thank you, patrons, for sticking with me and listening to me drone on and on and on about what I do. I'm going to get back to work on these, and I'll see you in the next video.